Hello everyone, and welcome to my Destiny Alpha feedback video. As you might have guessed, I'll be talking about what I liked and just my general experience inside the Destiny Alpha. The first question that probably comes to most people's mind is, did I enjoy it? And the answer so far is yes. I didn't do any PvP though, so everything I will be talking about is just in PvE, in the explore areas and the strike missions. But first I want to talk about the things I either didn't like or think could be improved. That way we can finish the video on all the things that I did like. One of the first things that I noticed, and it's been brought up in the forums a couple times, was the ammo, and how it's hard to sometimes see them. They do have a glow around them, a small kind of transparent glow, so the green gives you your special ammo, the white gives you your primary, and the purple gives you your heavy ammo. But the problem is that they can be hard to see, especially if the ground or the area around it is really bright. Then they kind of blend in, and so that becomes a problem, because if you run out of ammo, you need to see where some is. You can't quite tell. It doesn't... No, I think they can add a little bit of a better glow to it, maybe turn down some of the transparency, make it more visible. It doesn't have to go as crazy as, say, Borderlands, but they could really be a little bit better to see, so that way if you need ammo, you know where to look. Now, this next thing could be just because it's in the alpha, and I didn't have the voice chat, and again, it could be just because it's alpha, but I really would like to see some ability or some UI element where I can see the current health or shield of my strike team members, or party members, as I might refer to them later. And that, to me, is really important, because if you have a lot of support abilities, I think the Titan does eventually get a shielding ability, then I want to be able to look over at a glance and say, oh, I really need to use this now because everyone's almost dead. But I just can't see that right now. I can probably look in their direction, and I don't think there's even any kind of real indicators looking at them. So having some kind of UI element for my strike team would be great. It could either blink red when they're almost dead, or kind of pulse red if they are dead, so I know who to go to revive. But just some visual element so I can keep track of what's going on. And again, this may not be such a big deal when the voice over IP is implemented for the game, so that way someone can call out when they're almost dead or something. But just having that ability to know what's currently going on in my group at a glance would really help make any kind of support ability much easier to manage and much better to make choices with. One of the other things I noticed, and also again was brought up in the forums, was the navigation icon. To know exactly where you need to go for your objective, you need to bring up the ghost. And though that's not terribly annoying because you can bring it up real quick and then close it and it'll stay for a little bit, it would be nice to have maybe a toggle option so I could say, hey, always be on when I have an objective to do. Or if there are players who don't like that, they can turn it off, like in Skyrim. I think Skyrim had that option. So having the ability to say, hey, I would like to have my navigation always on, so I don't have to constantly bring up my ghost to know where to go, I think that would help out. Oh, for the strike missions, there are bosses that you can fight. One of them being Deathwalker. I kind of call him like the mini boss of the level, but then there's the main boss at the end. But it just seemed like that the Deathwalkers have so much health, and I've been in a couple strike missions where we died once or twice against it because it just took so long to kill. Now, the weakness is the legs. You destroy the legs to expose the core, and then you hit the core. But even so, it just took so long to break through that. And I mean, I get that it's supposed to be a hard enemy to fight, but it was just so hard to take down. And this could be because, again, it's the alpha. So it could be maybe a balancing issue, or it could simply be because I could not communicate with my strike team to say, hey, let's focus on this leg, or I'm going to draw aggro in this direction, you hit that leg. Any kind of coordination like that probably could bring it down quicker, and one of the missions we were able to take it down fairly quickly. So it could just been that lack of communication, or maybe just people don't really know how to take it out very quickly, but it still does kind of feel it's on the high side. This could change later based on, again, having communication, or everyone finally understanding the mechanic to bring down that enemy, but it might be something to keep in mind and keep an eye out for in case it does need to be turned down just a little bit. Kind of in line with that previous point, I was noticing that I was running out of ammo a lot because it just, again, took so many hits. Now, I do like that there are items that I can purchase in the tower that can replenish my ammo, and maybe the idea is that I should be keeping like 10 to 20 of each type with me, but it's just got annoying because kept running out of ammo. So I would think that maybe we could, if we could have some kind of small, easy trash mobs, not a lot of them, very, very small amount, kind of pop up that we can take out really quickly. It's a nice diversion from the Deathwalker, but we can take the trash out and get some ammo, and that would help out a lot. I do know that some trash does spawn, but they kind of stay towards the Deathwalker, and you can't really approach it, or they just don't drop anything. So to me, I just kept running out of ammo, and maybe I just wasn't being proactive enough to actually get the ammo, but that's just a problem that I noticed, and again, that could have been my fault. Something else that I noticed that could probably not be a problem once we leave alpha and maybe once the game launches, is that in the public events, if you're running along solo and you come across these, you are probably not going to be able to complete it by yourself. And again, this may not be too big of a deal when there's more players, and so there's a higher likelihood that people will come by and help you out and you can take it down. But as it stands currently, I just haven't been able to complete a public event by myself. And so, I do get some credit and I do get some experience, but it would be nice maybe if it would scale a little bit. What comes to mind for me is in Final Fantasy XIV, some of the public events known as fates in that game. They do watch how many players interacted with that fate, and then the next time that fate spawns, it then will adjust itself to either be harder because there was a lot of players, or to be easier because there was very little players. Again, this may not be too big a deal when the game launches, and in early launch cycle, it may not be too bad because there will be a lot of players. But thinking a little bit further down the line, when a lot of players don't go back to the early content, then new players will maybe put off a little bit by that content. So probably not a big deal, but it's something I wanted to bring up. The only other things that I noticed that could be minor problems, and again, probably just as alpha, the load times were extremely long. And being an alpha, chances are that was the main reason why the load times were long. So not too terribly concerned about it, just wanted to bring it up. And the other thing was that the abilities being mapped to the L1 and R1 buttons, or the left and right bumper buttons, those are great, but to activate the overdrive, you have to hit both at the same time. And I noticed that when I try to hit them sometimes, I would have either the grenade go off or the melee go off. And I didn't want the overdrive to, or I wanted the overdrive to happen, but not the other abilities. And so I would waste one trying to make that happen. I think in the default control scheme, there are maybe 1 or 2 buttons that are not used. I think the right joystick click isn't being used, and I didn't quite look at all of the control options that were available, so maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe the answer is in those control options, but with the default control scheme, that was just something I noticed. I want to talk about the things that I did like. 2 things that are kind of an overview of all the classes that I did like were how the guns seem to determine the damage against the enemies. The headshots creating critical damage was great. The fact that melees aren't a one-shot kill for everything was great. I like that because there is an RPG element to it, and you do have to think a little bit more then. Obviously, you still are going to aim for headshots because that gives you the most damage, but sometimes it's better to weaken an enemy and then punch them instead of just running in and trying to punch them, because you might have to do it 3 or 4 times and they can punch you back. So I like that kind of felt like a little bit more of a strategy there. But not having to put points or to worry about a skill tree where I have to get proficient with weapons, therefore if I'm proficient with it then I can actually land a hit. I like that I don't have to worry about that. I get the gun, I like the gun, if I really like a certain type of gun I can focus on those, and then as I level up I get access to stronger guns, which then makes my damage output even better. So I do like that lack of focus on trying to get a whole bunch of skill points into weapon types. I can focus on the weapon that I like and really just plow forward with it. instead of skill points, I do like how there are still some attributes in there. And the attributes, again, don't really pertain to the weapons themselves, but can actually just help you focus in on certain abilities and certain ideas and strategies. So you can get yourself more armor or more recovery, or you can get some stats that helps your melee ability recharge faster or your grenade recharge faster. I like this because it doesn't get in the way of your primary mode of attack, and that's just firing your gun. These are ways that you can do, burst damage or specialized damage at a much quicker rate, or you can actually beef yourself up in various aspects, and some of the skills, you can even change some of your attributes, and you can change those on the fly. So you can kind of give your character a tweak to make it fit certain situations without affecting the core shooter aspect of the gameplay. I also like how the Grimoire, the Vault, and the Glimmer, which is the currency, are all shared between all your characters. It makes me think of Diablo 3, where you would find loot, you'd stick it in your storage chest, and you could give it to one of your other characters. And same kind of a concept applies here. You can get some maybe engrams or something that you can give to a new character that you created, or you can take the Glimmer that you accrued while leveling another class and use that Glimmer to buy more weapons or more armor for your other class or for your other character. So I do like how all of that is shared. I'm going to talk about each class individually and do a commentary for each class and talk about the things that I liked. So here we're looking at the Titan class, and I really enjoyed this for the punching ability like that. I think of a Falcon Punch every single time I see that, and for some reason it is incredibly satisfying. Not really sure why. But this is the last class I leveled. In fact, you're watching me get it towards a level 8, the maximum level for the alpha. And one of my favorite things is just the punching. I don't know why. I really don't. But things like that is a lot of fun to watch, or a lot of fun to do. But I do like a lot of the other aspects of the Titan class. I love their glide ability. They have a lot of forward movement and a lot of hover time, as you can see here. Not the other ones didn't seem to have that much control, though I think those come in ability upgrades. But it was really fun to glide around in this class and kind of do a death from above every now and then. I also like the grenade. The stun ability is really cool, and it seems like Titan is full-on support, because I think I said earlier that they should get a shielding ability. So that between the stunning ability of the grenades and the shielding ability, they can be a really strong support class. I do like also in general gameplay how you can go to these missions, as I was looking for with the Ghost just then. You can run from mission to mission, and you can just rapid fire a lot of these to level up, and that's the main way I leveled up with the Titan class. Just going around everywhere, grabbing these little missions, and just doing them. I would love to see a more variety of missions. Of course, this being the alpha, there's probably just a handful available, but I would love to see some kind of like racing one where you have to run all over the place with your vehicles, or you have a certain amount of time. Anything like that would be cool. I also love how in all three classes, the grenades, they all have impact damage, but they all have some kind of additional effect to them. So it's really cool that you can do a lot of damage with it, and and if you know what your extra ability is with that grenade, you can do more with it. I also use the scout rifle a lot. It's my favorite weapon so far. It's a single shot, but it does a lot of damage, and I seem to get really good shots in when compared to like the pulse rifle, which is a burst shot. The Titan's also really good about taking damage. Their armor is the highest, I think, of the group, or of all the classes. So you can really take a hit and just keep going with it, which I've taken a fair number of hits with this alone. Also like how, as you saw there, if you're too close to your own stun grenade, it could actually affect your vision as well, so you have to be a little bit careful with that. I don't think the other grenades have any kind of effect on you if you were to be too close, but the Titan one for sure does. Here I'm actually going to get a little in over my head, I nearly die. I'm not exactly sure how I survived this, but I thought there was no one behind me because I just came from that side, and there was these two guys, and I am on the verge of death here. Actually, I didn't see any kind of icon up there, but yeah. I also love the super moves. You saw me earlier do a jump forward and smash on the ground, and it disintegrated like everything behind me. It's a really good super move, and especially if you have a lot of really heavy enemies like the golden health enemies, I kind of call them elites. It can be extremely useful to get a couple shots in and then come in with that and just wipe out everything in around you. It also recharges pretty quickly, I think, because I have an ability that it's either as I melee or as I get kills. It's one of the two. The overcharge fills up faster. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly. I don't know. But it recharges fairly quickly, and so I should really use it more often than I do. I'm not sure why I don't use it as often as I could use it. I also like how you can have 3 weapons available at a certain time, or at any given time, and that you can switch them out on the fly as long as you're not getting destroyed. So having all 3 available at one time gives you a lot of options, and can allow you to really, if you're in need of a weapon, you have 3. So, and especially since the machine gun and this rocket launchers are on that heavy slot, it does give you some versatility. Here we have the Hunter class, and this class was pretty fun too, mostly because of the throwing knife, your melee ability. It gives you melee damage at a range when it hits, and you can even do critical damage. So if you throw the knife and it hit the head of an enemy, it will actually do critical damage, more than what the normal melee would do, I think. So if you can get your throws just right, you can take out one enemy with your throwing knife and then move on to the next enemy immediately. I think I am able to pull that off a little bit later in this particular gameplay segment. The grenade for this guy is it's your standard kind of incendiary grenade. So it does the explosive damage, as I said before, but it also gives you a damage over time buff, and I don't know why I threw that grenade like that. Just maybe I thought the guy was going to be on his way back. But it does the damage over time to anyone that it hits, so, or at least any enemy that it hits. So you can actually do a lot more damage with that grenade, I think, than you can do with some of the other ones. Because it doesn't matter where they go. If they've been hit by that damage over time, or hit by that grenade, they will have that continuous damage over time. I do like how also weapons get upgrades too. I'm not sure if it's by type or by specific weapons, but you can get upgrades for those. So extended mags, or I think there's like some reload time increases or decreases as well. But it allows you, if you really like a gun type, it rewards you for focusing in on that gun and giving you new abilities. I'm not sure what the main stats are for this particular class. I think it's kind of the more well-rounded one, kind of the mid-ground when it comes to like armory and recovery. But they're a pretty fun class. I mean, I really just love the throwing knife. It feels really nice when you can get that throw off, take out an enemy, and then headshot the enemy nearby. It's just really satisfactory to do so. The ultimate move, I don't think I showed the ultimate move for this one, is a supercharged pistol, basically. You only get 3 shots, and I do like how they balanced it so you only get 3. But it is extremely, extremely powerful. I think it'll take most enemies out in a single hit. I usually save it in case I'm in trouble, but again, I should probably use my abilities a little bit more often than I do. But it's a really good kind of like, oh crap button if you get caught in a situation. Especially with these Hive Knights, the guy on the left. And he is just tough. And since I'm level 8 and he's a level 8, I'm not exactly worried about this guy, especially when I switch to shotguns. Shotguns are very powerful as well in this game, but they do seem to have very limited range too. They're actually really effective against Deathwalkers. If the core is exposed and you go up with a shotgun, it can be pretty powerful. You can get, I think I've broken anywhere from 700 to 900 damage with a shotgun on the core, so good to have. Also good to know, if you haven't noticed it before, Hive Knights can restore their health, so if they go behind that shield, they're getting their health back, so be mindful of that should you ever come across one of those guys. Another little aspect I like, and I think it's about to show it, yep. If you're willing to look around and explore like random areas and caves, you can find chests like that, and it can have anywhere from just money to weapons to just about anything. So definitely keep an eye out for those while you're playing, because you can get some good stuff. And just right there I was able to take out one guy with the knife and then one guy with the gun. So that's that kind of situation that feels really, really good when it happens. For these scout missions, they're really cool because they kind of feel like jump puzzles most of the time. You got to figure out how to get up to the spot. Here I kind of fail a few times. I was trying to go in between there, and I'd done it before, but for some reason I couldn't do it this time. And I'd stood in the center before and didn't fall through, and this time I fell through. So I didn't know you could, because it didn't happen before, and as you saw there, I fell through again because I apparently suck at jumping. So but you just get to the spot and you wait until the percentage goes up, and sometimes there's enemies shooting at you. There's one with a Death Walker staring right at you as you're trying to sit there and get your scouting mission done.
A war without intelligence. Then again,
so that's actually one of the more interesting puzzle elements to me, is finding out or figuring out how to get up to those locations and sit there, and how to stay alive in some situations, because they're not as, I wouldn't say unguarded as that, but when you have a Death Walker staring at your face, it's pretty deadly. You're probably not going to make it. So this last video, and the last part of the video, is the Warlock gameplay. And I'm showing the strike mission again, which you saw at the beginning of the video, because I noticed something for the first time while playing it as a Warlock. And that's that there was more than just my strike team in this mission. Every time I'd done it before, there was only my strike team, the three of us. Now there's more than the three of us, and I thought that was really cool. I didn't know it was going to do that. I'd gotten the impression that only the Explore areas would have that kind of, you could say, cross-group gameplay, but this showed me that there could be more, and so some of the possibilities of maybe the health issues for some of the bosses may not be that big of an issue if both your groups can make it all the way there together. I don't know if it separates you at some point, or if this was just a fluke. Whatever it may be, it was just really cool to see, and I'd still show off some of the gameplay elements for this particular class. Now this class is an interesting one. It has a lot of recoverability. I think recover is its highest stat. So if you take damage pretty quickly, but if you can get into hiding, you can get back into it. And the grenade that you saw me just throw, outside of its explosive damage, it leaves behind kind of a dome field. And if any enemy wanders into that field, they take damage, but they can also wander out of it too. The melee ability for this one is the energy drain, and you'll probably see me use it not terribly far from now. But what it does is that it allows you to drain energy from an enemy, and that energy gets put into your grenade. So you can get to your grenade faster by doing energy drains on people. In this particular run, I'm actually using the pulse rifle, which, oh no, I'm not actually, thought I was. And there was the energy drain. So I'm using the scouting rifle, but I'll also be using the sniper rifle during the wave section, where you have to fight waves upon waves of enemies to get through to the next part of the mission. The one thing I don't like about this class, and probably the only thing, is that its hover ability doesn't seem to really control well. You get a lot of verticality, but you don't get a lot of forward momentum with it. Or maybe I just wasn't using it terribly well. It's kind of a slow going thing, so you have to be more careful with how you use that particular ability. This area does take a lot of teamwork, or at least a lot of people who know what they're doing, because you get the knight, you get the wizard, you get like an elite character, you get invisible snipers, you get just about everything. What I do like is that you can get shields. When you revive someone, you have a short amount of shielding, so it gives you kind of a reward almost for running in and trying to get your friend back. And you don't have to worry about dying immediately because you went out into the middle of a fight to get your friend up. And it's important to do that because their respawn time without it is extremely long. Like 20 to 30 seconds. And if everyone dies, you must restart from the last checkpoint. And that could be the beginning of a Deathwalker fight, or it can be the beginning of these 3 particular waves that you'll see right here starting up. So you have to be really, really careful with it.
Pretty complex.
I just saw there I was having trouble with the jump to get up there. I didn't have trouble with other classes, but for this one, I had a lot of trouble getting myself on top of that area without the aid of the boxes there. Now the snipers, as you can see right there, I did 1,400 damage with a single sniper shot to the head. So they are extremely powerful in this game, like most snipers are in most games. Very, very handy for these particular missions, especially when you have those other snipers or even the bigger guys. I think I took down a wizard with only 1 or 2 shots with the sniper rifle. So it's a good thing to have in your arsenal available just in case you need it. Again, you can switch weapons anytime you want, and if you have a sniper rifle in your special, you can keep it there in case you need it, and then if you see a lot of people grouping up, go in, switch it to a shotgun, and then run in with the shotgun. So you do have that flexibility. The supercharged ability, or overcharged ability for the Warlock is like a kind of ball of energy that you can fire forward, and it can do a lot of damage. I used it against the final boss of the strike mission a couple times. It also kind of got me killed a couple times because I was very close. But it did a lot of damage. I think I did over 1,000 every time I got it to land. So a good viable option. I don't know what the full range is for it because I always got close to use it, but it's definitely a high damage dealing option to use. You only get 1 shot with it though. I think overall that will do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and also thank you to Bungie and to Sony for allowing everyone the chance to play it in its current form. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm really looking forward to the beta, and so hopefully that will be soon. I'm kind of eager to play it, eager to see the changes, and if I'm allowed to, I will do some more videos during that time and maybe even stream it. So again, thank you all very much, and happy gaming.